Welcome to the class of the electrical engineering optional subject, the perfect strategy preparation, right? So this strategy, if you are able to adapt, then actually it will be very easy for you to cross 300 marks. So I will give you some of the known techniques, or actually some of the methodologies. Actually, I am going to give you how to score well in the case of the electrical engineering optional subject. And before proceeding for that, so we will answer the fundamental question, that is whether this is the right choice or not. So that is the fundamental question. If yes, then actually what is the preparation strategy? So these questions actually we will answer. So the first one is this the right choice? And the second question, that's what we can answer is, what is the perfect strategy? Right? Now, to answer these questions, first of all, whether this is the right choice or not. So many people have this question. So if you notice, we have spent 4 years of time only for the engineering purpose, especially both electrical and electronics engineering people. If you notice, they have spent almost 4 years of time dedicatedly only for the electrical engineering or the electronics engineering. Now, if you have already spent 4 years of time, then actually what is the best point to take so that actually you can select for any other option? So this actually you have spent already 4 years of time. That means actually you might have studied almost 90% of the syllabus at your graduation stage itself. Then that forms the basis for preparing this particular optional subject. If not, then actually the other choices, obviously it will be the mathematics. I don't suggest for any of the engineers to go with any other optional subject other than the electrical engineering optional, or actually the mechanical engineering optional, or the civil engineering optional, depending upon your engineering stream. You stick to your engineering stream. If not, you go for the mathematics. I'll give you the appropriate reason for that. So we'll be studying mainly two different aspects in the case of the engineering. So engineering, we'll be studying as a separate subject. We study mathematics. And then actually along with that, engineering core subjects. So only these two subjects actually we are spending 4 years of time. So 4 years of time is dedicatedly spent for only these two topics. So we'll be studying 4 years of time dedicatedly only for the two important subjects. One is the mathematics. That's what is specifically the engineering mathematics we do. Engineering mathematics and the engineering core subjects. And if you are an electrical engineer, then actually we'll be studying electrical engineering. If you are an electronics and communication engineering, then actually you will be studying ECE. And if you are a mechanical engineering, then actually the mechanical engineering subjects you will be studying. If you are a civil engineer, then actually it will be the civil engineering subjects. Right? So these are the four important streams of engineering actually which you may opt for the engineering streams. And if not, then obviously the fallback option is actually only the mathematics. I strongly suggest to go with the mathematics, if not engineering. I don't suggest any of the theoretical subjects for the engineers. Why? Because I have seen many people migrating from the original. Actually, initially they might have thought that actually there is very big overlap of the general studies. That's why actually I can go with the geography option, or actually I can go with the political science option, or I can go with the public administration or the sociology or anthropology. So these kind of topics actually many people actually used to take it. But at the end of the day, after 2-3 years actually when they try for with that optional subject, they realize that that's not their core area. Then actually they will be coming back to the mathematics optional or the engineering optionals. The reason being, the main difference between the optional subject versus the general studies, there is a huge difference between these two, but though we have a overlap of the subject. Now overlap, what do we mean by the overlap? Let us say this is the general studies subject. In that, this general studies actually, what is expected in general studies, if you carefully look into that, that is the peripheral knowledge that is required on all the aspects of the day-to-day life, all the aspects. Maybe maths, maybe physics, maybe chemistry, or maybe geology, or maybe botany, or maybe geography, or maybe history, or maybe political science. And all the aspects actually, the peripheral knowledge is expected to answer the general studies part of it. But the optional is not like that. So this is only the peripheral knowledge. So what is peripheral knowledge is maybe at max +2 standard expected. So +2 standard of knowledge is expected on all the subjects, irrespective of the background it is. So biology expected, and geography, history, political science, and the mathematics or the physics or the chemistry or engineering. So every aspect is expected, but only with a standard of +2 standard in the case of the general studies. But optional is not like that. So optional subject, if you take any optional subject, this optional, the knowledge that is expected is the graduation level. So this is at graduation level. Most of the times actually above graduation, most of the time. Now, your main point of taking the overlap, or actually your main point of selecting the optional subject, many people think that actually it is the overlap. What is overlapping? That overlapping is actually only the peripheral knowledge. But what is the competition? So this is actually overlapping. So this might give an advantage of maybe getting a score of, let us say, in general studies, actually, you might get 5% extra marks, or actually, you might get 5% time, not the marks. So you will get time, not the marks. Why? Because you wanted to save the time of preparation. It's not that actually you wanted to get more marks. You are not planning to get more marks. Rather, actually, you wanted to save your preparation time. Let us say 5% of the time actually you wanted to save. Because that overlap concept is only from the time point of view, not from the marks point of view. This you have to be pretty much clear. And the second aspect is this optional subject, what is the competition? So this is post-graduation level competition. Because optional is nothing but you are declaring yourself as the subject expert in that particular domain. If you are declaring yourself as the subject expert, then actually that is how you are going to be tested. That means the optional knowledge that is going to be expected is in-depth knowledge in that particular subject. Suppose if you take geography, then actually you are tested for the geography at a standard above graduation level. So that is how the competition will be. Because all the people actually who have done actually the graduation in geography, or actually the people actually who are preparing for 4 or 5 years actually only with the geography optional, you are going to compete with them. All of a sudden actually you come to geography and then actually start preparing with geography, then actually within 1 year actually if you wanted to crack it, it will be very, very tough. I don't say it is impossible, but it will be very, 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 very tough, because you need to compete with the experts. So then actually what is the time advantage you are getting? I don't think you are getting any time advantage, because already people are actually spending 3 or 4 years of time only on that particular subject for the expertise, and you are competing with them. Then obviously you have to spend 3 or 4 years of time to be at the equal level, unless you are extraordinary person, right? So these are all the aspects that you need to consider. So think logically. So there is a overlap, but that overlap will not give a great advantage. That too, it will not give the advantage for the marks, it will give the advantage only for the time. But that time, whatever you are going to get as an advantage, it is going to be lost to prepare the knowledge of the geography or the history or the political science or any other optional subject, which is a theoretical subject, in preparing the in-depth knowledge. That means afresh you are starting, you are preparing in-depth knowledge. That is one important aspect that you need to consider. So selecting theoretical options. So this actually not suggested for the aspirants who are good at analyzing technical or mathematical subjects. Right? So we engineers, we always think logically, but in the subject actually like history, so what is logic there? Whatever is happened, you are studying. That means actually you are learning the facts, you are memorizing the facts. Memorization is a far, far distant activity for an engineer, because actually we being engineers, actually, we always think in a logical manner. We will try to construct from the start to bottom, start to end. So from top to bottom, actually, we will be constructing in a logical sequence. That is how actually we were learned. That is how all the engineering subjects, and that is how the mathematics will be. Now, learning the facts and memorizing and representing them in the examination, it will be very, very tough for those engineers. Some people actually, they might have come to the engineering without having proper interest. They might have had some interest somewhere else. Maybe in theoretical subjects, actually, they might be very good, or actually they might be interested in. But somehow, actually, because of some social circumstances or financial constraints, actually, they might have come to the engineering field, though they don't have interest in this particular subject. For such kind of people only, I suggest to go with the theoretical subjects, but not for the actual engineers, right? So that is the reason. And many of the people, actually, I have noticed that when they study the theoretical subjects, they were used to learn in a logical sequence, but actually the theoretical subjects are actually not in logical sequence. And also in the mathematics or the engineering, at least we know that when we solve a problem, or actually when we do a derivation, we ourselves, we know that we have done appropriately what is required for that. And we ourselves will get a confidence that actually we have presented well. But that's not the case actually in the case of the theoretical subject, because the theory can be expanded in any number of ways. And mostly that is the opinion. That opinion, whatever you are going to express, that may be a good opinion or that may be a bad opinion. And that opinion, actually, the examiner might like it or might not like it. So that is actually, there is no clear-cut understanding, or actually there is no clear-cut confidence that whether you have done perfectly or not. So even after the examination also, actually, you will be very, very doubtful for the presentation, whatever you have done. But it's not the case in the case of the mathematics or the engineering subject. So that's why we were used to study a logical sequence. And remember that many people actually are facing this kind of issue. They are actually used to learn the logical sequence, but they have selected the optional, which is a theoretical subject, and they themselves will realize after 1 year that actually they have taken a wrong decision. Many people, actually, I did notice this kind of scenario. So that's why actually think multiple times when you are going for the theoretical subjects, leaving the engineering or the mathematics as an optional subject. These two are actually perfectly good. Why? Because if you take, so mathematics, if it is mathematics, you have done, as I have explained in the mathematics optional course. So there actually, I have clearly shown for each of the engineers, actually, if it is an electrical or electronics engineering, actually, then I have shown that actually around 70% of the syllabus is actually our engineering maths. So engineering maths, actually, it forms 70% of the syllabus. Then remaining 30%, actually, you need to study extra. That is anyway there. 30% actually that you need to study extra, but those topics are actually not easier topics also. Those are actually a little tougher topics. That's why actually you have to spend time. And that is important aspect actually when we consider mathematics as an optional. Though you have studied 70%, this 30% also you need to spend time and then actually learn it. So these are completely drastically new topic. And then actually if you take the engineering, and engineering, if you notice, specifically I am talking about the electrical engineers and electronics engineers. So if I talk about the electrical and electronics engineering, then actually, so this EEE people, electrical and electronics engineering people, if you notice, so they have studied almost 90 to 95% of the syllabus, and only 10 to 5% of the syllabus is extra. 10 to 5% is extra if you are a electrical engineering aspirant. Why? Because we have studied all the subjects of the electrical engineering. The optional name is also electrical engineering. So if the optional name is electrical engineering, then actually what else they are going to give? So everything which is studied as part of the engineering, that is what they are going to give it at graduation level. And the standard of this particular subject is only at the graduation. That is pretty clear. So this is at graduation level only they give it. But in the case of mathematics, actually a little higher than the graduation they are going to give it. So little higher. Graduation they are going to give it, but little lower than the masters. That you have to be clear. So little higher than the graduation, little lower than the post graduation. And electronics engineering people, that is EC, electronics and communication engineering people, if you notice, for them actually around 80% is study. So graduation level itself, and then actually 80% studied. So 80% studied and 20% extra they need to study. See, 20% extra you anyway need to study. And even if you take mathematics, 30% extra you anyway need to study. But rather than selecting an optional subject where actually you are not good at, or actually you have selected an optional where 100% new you have to study there. So any other subject. So 100% new. 100% new subject actually you need to study. Obviously, what else actually you are getting the time advantage there. There is an overlap, that I agree. But 100% new subject. You are trying to select an optional subject which is completely 100% new, with which you are trying to aspect, or you wanted to compare that there is an overlap between the general studies. And this actually very crucial point. Many people make the mistake there and they realize after 1 year. So by the time actually 1 year time is gone. Some people actually will realize after 2 years also. The time is gone by the time. And also they have lost touch with these subjects also, because they have not spent time for the first 1 or 2 years actually only on those particular subjects, because they lost touch. So that's why actually it will be a problem if you take the decision down the line. So I strongly suggest actually if you people are preparing from the BTech level itself, then take your own engineering subject, whether it is a mechanical engineering or the civil engineering or the electrical engineering or the electronics engineering. You take that subject itself as an optional subject. If not, the fallback option is only mathematics, not anything else. Fallback option is actually only mathematics. Suppose actually some mechanical engineers actually they might be very good at physics. For such kind of people actually I suggest to go with the physics optional, because physics optional has its own advantages as well. So I have studied all these 3 options to a greater extent. Every optional is having its own advantages and disadvantages. But what is important for us is which is passionate for us. So that is very, very important. That is very crucial point. Unless it is a passionating subject, then actually I don't suggest to go with that particular subject. If you are not passionate about mathematics, you are an engineer, but actually you are passionate about geography, or if you are passionate about political science, you go with the political science itself. As you are passionate about it, that makes the difference. That makes a lot of difference. If you are passionate, then you straight away go with that particular subject, even though it is completely new. If you are not passionate, if it is afresh you are studying, or actually you don't know in and out of that particular subject, then I don't suggest to go with that. Got it? So these aspects actually you need to consider. And then actually I'll just go through the syllabus given by the electrical engineering optional. Many of the people with electrical engineering as background or electronics as background, and many people are opting for the electrical engineering. And we did notice actually, even actually, so I think, so some people actually even topped with electrical engineering optional. So all India first rank also actually one person got, right? Now, so like this actually, if you go with the syllabus is, so this is the paper 1 syllabus, and this is paper 2 syllabus. Right? You have selected as an electrical engineering as an optional subject. Then what is the best strategy that you need to adapt? And whenever actually you are targeting any particular exam, like a tough exam like civil services examination, and especially the optional actually demands in-depth knowledge, not a peripheral knowledge. So in-depth knowledge actually demands. Now for such kind of optional subjects, actually you need to have a perfect strategy. What do we mean by perfect strategy? Perfect strategy involves few points. The first point is you need to identify and understand the syllabus. So that is the first point that you need to make. So that is identify strategy. Identify and understand. Understand the syllabus. So this is actually, you will be getting this particular information from UPSC notification. Right? So, or actually in our IndianCivils website, we have clearly categorized the topic-wise syllabus, and then actually we kept it. So you can check the same details actually at IndianCivils.com. Right? And that is the first aspect. So you need to identify the syllabus, and you will be getting an idea what you have studied, what you have not studied. And in that, specifically, if you take one particular topic, in that the subparts also you will be studying, and then actually you will notice that some areas, if you are not studying at graduation level, then you will have to focus that. Such kind of information you are going to get it if you study the syllabus, right? So this is the first thing actually what you need to do. So identify and understand the syllabus. Then the second aspect is, then if you are an engineering optional student, or actually if you have selected engineering as an optional, then actually you have got one advantage. The advantage is, that is very good advantage. You can straight away go through the previous year problems. That means actually, because you have already spent 4 years of time, then if you go through the previous year problems, at least you will get an idea whether you are able to solve those problems, or actually to which topic actually it belongs. But all of a sudden, if you take political science, and if you go through the previous year questions just by looking at the syllabus, then actually you will not be able to identify from which topic it is coming, or from which book it is coming. You don't know what are the books to study, and you don't know what are all the topics to study, and you don't know for which topic this question belongs. That kind of information while planning your preparation, that you are not going to get actually if you take any other optional other than these two subjects like mathematics and the electrical engineering optional, right? Being you are an electrical or electronics engineering aspirant, right? Then actually the second information is, go through the previous year problems. This actually you people only will do it. So if you select other options, you will not be able to do it. This particular part, go through the previous year question papers. And see the difficulty level. And also judge yourself. Judge yourself. Then and there itself, actually, before even starting the preparation, you can judge yourself how far you are able to answer. At least actually how far you have seen those questions while you have studied your graduation. That kind of understanding, it will give the confidence first. So it will give the confidence. That confidence will make a lot of difference. If you got the confidence, then actually you will be able to easily study. It will be a cakewalk for you. If you are scared, then actually it will be very tough to cross even a single point. So you will get the confidence while preparing the optional subject. So this is the second important aspect actually that you need to consider. And then the third one is, once you go through the syllabus and once you identify the previous year questions, then you will get the idea from which sections the questions are coming, or from which topic it is very, very important to study. Then that information, actually the topics of importance, or actually prioritize the topics. Prioritize the subjects and topics. And this is the third step actually that you need to do. Once you prioritize the subjects and the topics, and next important activity is collect the material. And books. So collect the material and books. And at this particular point, I wanted to give one important aspect. Many people think that actually from the toppers, actually, if you get the notes, that itself will serve the purpose. It may not be. To some extent, it will serve the purpose, but it may not be the case always. So usually it may not be. Why? Because the questions that are going to be coming in the examination, that is purely from the standard textbooks. That means if you are very good at the conceptual clarity, and if you are able to practice the questions from the standard textbooks, then that knowledge is sufficient enough to write the UPSC examination. But the toppers notes actually, or the notes prepared by somebody, those notes actually, it is based on their knowledge, whatever they feel it is important for them. Or actually they might have, like suppose actually I am very good at networks, then actually I don't prepare notes for networks, or actually I will do only peripheral level of the knowledge for the networks because I am already expert in that. Why do I need to spend time? So if I take my notes, then actually you will be in difficulty because you may not be the experts in networks. I am expert, that's why actually I have prepared my own notes based on my knowledge level. As you are not expert, then obviously if you use my notes, then actually you may not get the same knowledge whatever I have. So this is finally it's a competition. In the competition, actually, if you wanted to be successful, then it has to be the wider knowledge that you should be having it. But textbooks are the one which will give the same knowledge to everyone, because those are the ones actually which was designed for giving the knowledge to all the aspirants. So that's why I strongly suggest to go with the textbooks. But these notes actually are useful. You have to prepare your own notes. That will be very, very advantageous for you. It's not that actually we don't give the notes, we do give it. But these are actually notes, whatever we are going to give it, that actually it will accelerate the preparation. How it will accelerate? Because we will pinpoint to the point what we need to be present in the examination, or actually at least what we need to study, what we need to prepare. Such kind of level of information actually we will be gathering based on the UPSC syllabus, and that's what actually we are going to provide at IndianCivils.com. But here you have to prepare your own notes. That will be very, very advantageous for you, because this is highly customized only for you, and you know where you are expert, where you are not expert. Based on that knowledge, you will be preparing the notes. But you can take the reference as somebody else's notes, or you can take the reference as the standard textbook. So that is how actually you need to depend the material and collect the material, and then actually the books. So this is next important aspect. And then the fifth one is, so next the aspect is these subjects needs to be prepared thoroughly. Once you identify the material and the books, so we need to prepare thoroughly. So needs to be prepared thoroughly, and this is where actually, so we are actually accelerating the preparation. Basically, the coaching institutes actually what they do, so you yourself can study on your own. That's not a big deal as long as you are able to spend time. But what coaching institutes do is they will be accelerating your preparation. So you are buying time. Basically, you are buying 1 year of time. If you yourself wanted to prepare on your own, then all these aspects actually you have to identify on your own. You have to come to an expert level on all these points, and then actually you have to start preparing the material on your own, and then actually you need to study on your own. At some point, actually, if you get doubt, then actually you may not get the help. So these are all the important aspects actually that you need to consider whether to go for the coaching or not. So coaching institutes will help in these aspects. One is in planning your preparation, and in accelerating your preparation. Accelerating your preparation meaning, suppose if you take one particular subject, if you study on your own, it might take more time, maybe 2 months of time actually if you are taking. But the same subject actually if it is taught by somebody who is an expert, then actually it will be maybe within 15-20 days actually you will be able to understand each and every aspect of it, and you will be able to prepare the notes because it is accelerated by the faculty. Hence actually you will be preparing the notes, and then actually you will be coming to an expert level within 20 days. Otherwise it would have been 2 months for you. So that is the only difference actually. It's not that actually you will not be able to study. You yourself will be able to study. There is no doubt in it. The only thing is actually we'll be accelerating your preparation, and we are actually pinpointedly targeted work we are going to give it, and that's what actually it will accelerate your preparation, and the knowledge whatever we are going to give, that will accelerate your preparation, right? So the single point is we will accelerate the preparation. And then actually another important aspect of the coaching institutes is, one is the acceleration is one important aspect, another is where you are going wrong. That information, as I said earlier, go through the previous year questions and then actually plan according to the previous year questions, the importance of the topics and weightage of the topics. And then actually recently actually one student came to me, and that guy actually, the main problem why he was not able to succeed is he is studying engineering subjects altogether, but without as per the UPSC syllabus, or actually he has seen the UPSC syllabus but he didn't go through the previous year questions. Then actually UPSC syllabus, it specifies every aspect of the syllabus. Suppose if I take electrical machines, they will be specifying each and every aspect of the electrical machines. And suppose they have given DC machines, they have given AC machines, and in the AC machines actually induction machines are there, and transformers are there, single phase transformers are there, three phase transformers are there, and the SCOT connections, auto transformers and induction machines. So these aspects actually that was specified in the electrical machine syllabus. But if you notice, single phase machines were not specified. And two-phase induction machine, actually, it was not taught actually anywhere actually in that particular syllabus. So in the syllabus, actually, single phase and special machines and the two-phase machines are actually not specified. Obviously, if you go through the previous year, so if you go through the syllabus, then you yourself will feel that actually three-phase machines are important and the single-phase induction motor is actually not important. That's how actually you will get a feel. But if you go through the previous year questions, then actually there were two times actually in the past 5 years actually, specifically it was asked for the single phase transfer. So single phase induction motor, but it was not part of the syllabus. That is where you will go wrong. So because we were teaching this particular subject for many years, right? So obviously we will get an idea where to focus more, where not to focus more. And in some areas, actually, we will be focusing more, but that may not be asked in the examination. Suppose actually, if you take one particular subject, like actually, if you take in electrical machines or actually energy conversion, to be specific as per UPSC naming convention, electrical machines, actually, synchronous machines, the syllabus is very high. And to study the synchronous machines, actually, it takes a lot of knowledge is required. And at the same time, you will have to spend a lot of time. And also understanding the concepts of synchronous machines is very, very tough. But if you notice, in the examination, previous year examinations, the weightage that was given for the synchronous machines is very, very less. And suppose if you end up studying more time only on the synchronous machines because the syllabus specified is more, and then actually understanding the concept is tough. So if you wanted to go through each and every aspect of the synchronous machines, finally at the end of the day, you will not be able to answer any question because none of the questions are coming from the synchronous machines. And in fact, the DC machines actually, which was very, very easy to study, and most of the questions are given from the DC machines. And even the single phase transformers also, it is very easy to study, and the questions, everything is coming from the single phase transformers. Those who are easier, those questions are coming. Those who are tougher, those questions are not coming. That is the case actually in the case of the electrical machines. If you know this particular point, then actually you will be able to study, or you will be able to easily answer actually and get very good score. Even though actually you are from electronics engineering background, you don't need to study hard electrical machines because the easier concepts only were asked. Because many of the people who is opting for the electrical optional are from the electronics engineering background. Many of the aspirants, almost 80% of the aspirants are electronics engineering background, not the electrical engineering background. And 80% of the people are coming from that particular background. Obviously, you can see the competition. And everybody is from electronics and everybody has not studied the energy conversion. And obviously, the standard of knowledge will be a little lesser when compared to the electrical engineering aspirants. Hence, actually, as 80% of the people are not able to answer it, then the toughness is going to be reduced by the UPSC so that people will be able to answer. If everybody could be able to answer that, they will make it tougher. As everybody is not able to answer this particular subject, they are making a little bit easier. So that's why actually the easier topics were focused in the case of the electrical machines. And so if you don't plan according to the aspects of UPSC, then you will face the difficulty. Then you will waste your preparation time. And at the end of the day, finally, you wanted to be a civil service. Yes, so you wanted to be a civil servant. If you wanted to be a civil servant, you wanted to be a successful. If you wanted to be successful, you need to get more marks. But you have not properly planned. You have done very good hard work, but the planning is not perfect. In that case, actually, you will lose the marks and you will not be able to select, right? So that's why the coaching institutes, where they are going to help in planning your preparation. Whatever we are going to teach is specifically based on the UPSC examination pattern as per the examination standard and as per the importance of the topics given for the UPSC. And dedicatedly for the electrical engineering optional subject itself. That's why actually it will give the advantages. So that's what actually I can say. And then actually, so that needs to prepare thoroughly. And this is where actually we will be accelerating your preparation, and also actually we'll be giving the important key points where to study, where not to study. And then actually the last one is testing. So testing is actually, we do conduct the mock test. These mock tests actually will help you in judging yourself, how far you are done. Once you are done with your preparation, that preparation, it has to be useful for you. And that preparation, how far you are there for the examination, it is going to be tested by us in the form of the mock test. And these mock tests are actually exactly as per the UPSC pattern. And hence actually, you yourself will be able to know without even going to the examination what standard you are. So that actually you are going to be tested at this particular point. And this actually, it will give the points of improvement. Points of improvement, right? So these points of improvement you need to identify, and then you need to rectify. And this is actually very, very important. And this works with only the coaching institute, because actually individually you cannot test on your own. You cannot prepare your test on your own and you cannot write it, right? So that actually somebody has to take care of that particular responsibility. We as the coaching institute, actually, we do take care of this particular responsibility. And this is how actually you need to plan the preparation. It may not be the engineering optional. It may be for any optional. This is how you need to plan it. But if you select an optional which you are already aware of it, you have some advantages in the planning itself. So planning is very smooth if you know the subject. If you don't know the subject, then the planning itself actually it will go for a toss, because you don't know some of the information. You don't know, or actually you don't have enough knowledge to plan. So there actually you will face the difficulty. And based on these aspects, actually, I have given the importance. See this. So this is actually one single slide. It will give you lot of advantage. So one single slide, a huge advantage you are going to get it for planning. And if you are from electrical or electronics engineering background, and if you select electrical engineering as an optional subject, this single slide will change your life. What is this? What is this is, here actually I have taken the syllabus of whatever we have listed by the UPSC. And then actually in each year from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, I have given the weightage for that particular topic. So we have in total 14 different topics are there. Now actually first I'll go through this syllabus first. In this actually, in the first paper, we have the network theory, and we have the signals and systems, and electromagnetic theory, and analog electronics, digital electronics, energy conversion, and power electronics and electric drives, and analog communication. There's a total 8 different topics are there. Now in this, if you notice, the circuit theory, it was studied by both electrical people and electronics engineering people. And the signals and systems also, it was studied by both electrical and electronics engineering people. And EM theory was studied by both electrical and electronics engineering people. And analog electronics is studied by both electrical and electronics engineering people. And digital electronics is also studied by electrical and electronics engineering people. But this energy conversion is studied by only electrical people, not by the electronics people. So this actually you have to study extra. And then the power electronics and electric drives. This is actually the analog electronics and energy conversion together. Actually, it will come to this particular subject. So one subject is from electronics background and one subject is from electrical background. These two are combined together to form this particular subject, the power electronics and electric drives. So this power electronics, actually, if you study electronics perfectly, that is electronic devices and circuits, if you study that particular subject perfectly, I don't think this is a tough topic. And many people feel that this is a tough topic, but actually based on my knowledge, I don't think this is a tough topic. And also actually the importance of this particular topic is less. And then actually the analog communication. So this analog communication in certain universities, actually it is part of the syllabus even for the electrical engineering people. But for electronics people anyway, actually this is the core subject. So this is actually some electrical engineers are studied, some electronics engineers. So 100% of the electronics engineers actually studied this particular subject. So this is the only subject which is causing issue for the electronics people. But electrical people, actually almost every subject is studied in this particular one. And then actually the paper 2. And paper 2, if you notice, we have the control systems, microprocessors and microcomputers, and then measurements and instrumentation, power systems, power system protection, digital communication. And in this, if you notice, control systems is studied by both electrical and electronics people to a greater extent. And microprocessor and microcomputers, it was studied by the electrical and electronics people together to a greater depth. And measurements and instrumentation also, it was studied by both of these people, electrical and electronics engineering people. Power systems and power system protection, this is studied by only the electrical engineering people, but not by electronics engineering people. But this is one of the important subject to study. One of the very, very important subject, I can say. And then digital communication is studied by only the electronics engineering students, but the weightage of digital communication is more. Hence, actually, you will get the advantage in digital communication. So this was actually, it will be a problem for the electrical engineering people, but electronics people actually it will be a huge advantage. But this subject and this subject, these two are advantages for the electrical engineering people, but not for the electronics engineering people. So one advantage is there in both of these people and one disadvantage is also there in both of these people. That's why it's more or less a level playground. So because electrical engineers are not aware of digital communication and analog communication, and electronics people are not aware of energy conversion and the power systems and power system protection. So this actually, I don't think this is a separate subject, because this is simply studying the SCR and its characteristics and the diode and its characteristics and application with the different kinds of loads. So that is what is actually power electrons. So nothing more than that. So that's actually, it is very easy to understand even for the electronics people as well. So are actually equally tougher for both the electrical and electronics people. That's how actually we can model it, right? And this is the syllabus. In this actually, paper 1 syllabus is actually, though we have 8 different topics, every topic is easier. And every topic is actually logical and systematic and analytical. And in this particular case, actually, some topics are theoretical, some topics are so mathematical. But if you notice, there are some theory aspects also, and there are some the problematic aspects also in each and every topic. So minor corner level details, if you try to dig it, then you yourself will realize that certain portion is theory and certain portion is actually purely mathematical. So both of the things are covered equally in these aspects, right? And then actually, if I show the importance, as I said earlier, in this single slide is the, so we can say that actually the cream of the cake. What it is, here I have classified each and every subject based on the importance, or actually based on the priority of that particular subject. I'll just give this. I think so. Last one is not clearly visible. I'll just show you. See this. In this, the first topic is the control systems. And here I have given 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19. For the control systems, in 2015 it is 70 marks, 2016 it is 67.5 marks, and 2017 it is 90 marks, 2018 it is 100, and 2019 also it is 100. But if you average out for all the 5 years, then on an average for the control systems, it is coming out to be 85.5 marks, and it tops among all the subjects. It tops among all the subjects. So this is 85.5 marks. And also you know that actually Nagaratan Gopal is a single book which covers all the syllabus of UPSC. And if you follow only that book, you will be able to score 85.5 marks altogether. And you don't need to lose any option, because actually every point is covered in that particular book and you will be able to understand easily. And control systems, actually, we were studying a lot about the control system in our engineering. So dedicatedly 1 year we will be studying only the control systems. Then actually that knowledge is sufficient enough to answer all the questions of the control systems. Only 4 different methodologies are there actually in analyzing the stability of the system and modeling of the system. So modeling, analyzing the stability, and if it is unstable, then correction. So these are all the only 3 aspects that are there actually in the case of the control systems. And each and every concept is important in that particular subject. And each and every concept you have to be very well aware of it. Then you will be able to score very well in this particular subject. So 85.5 marks. If you notice, we have got total of 500 marks and out of 14 different topics. Just you can imagine that 500 marks out of 14. So 500 by 14, that is the amount of the marks that you are going to get it. So that is actually, if I just do it 500 divided by 14, if you do it, then actually, so around 38, I think. Around 38 marks on an average for each and every subject. If 38, maybe you can, for simplicity calculation purpose, we can assume that each subject on an average actually it is weighted at 40 marks. Imagine that 40 marks is the weightage. The control systems itself occupies more than double the weightage. So 38 into 2, that is 76 marks. But this is actually 85.5 marks. That means the control systems weightage is as equivalent as that of studying 2 different subjects of other subjects. So that is how actually it is important that you have to keep it in mind. And control systems, the top priority subject. And the second important subject is the power systems. Power systems alone, you are going to get actually 82 marks. Power systems alone is 82 marks. But you cannot separate the power system protection also. Power system protection, actually, it was the least marks, we can say. Why it was least? Though it was specified as a separate subject, power systems and power system protection is a single subject because it is dependent on that. The same concepts are actually borrowed there. So power systems and power system protection, actually, you need to combinedly take together. And then actually, if you look at in that particular point of view, 38 marks is for the power system protection. See this. This is actually we have calculated 38 marks for a single subject. That is the least subject actually we were seeing it. 38 marks actually dedicatedly for the power system protection, but double the marks in the case of the power systems alone, 82 marks. So 82 marks actually is only for the power system. Power system protection and power systems together, if you notice, we have got 38 plus 82, 120 marks only for the power system. See, almost like 3 subjects. Power system protection and power systems together will be 120 marks. Control systems is 85.5 marks. And then the next important subject, if you notice, as I said earlier, there is one advantage for the electrical people. They have studied the power system and they have studied the electrical machines as well. But the digital communication, actually, they have not studied. But the electronics people are actually more focused on the digital communication. They know in and out of the digital communication. But for our electrical engineering people, actually, it will be a little bit tougher because actually they have not studied digital communication. The next important topic is the digital communication. So this digital communication, 75.5 marks, and it is in the 3rd position of the importance. The first is the control system, second is the power system and its protection, and the 3rd one is actually, so power system and protection, if you together combine it, it is going to be 120 marks. It will be the top #1 subject, I can say. But control systems 85.5 and digital communication, it is 75.5 marks on an average for the past 5 years, if you notice. And then actually the measurements and instrumentation, this is also actually one of the very, very key point to note. Measurements and instrumentation, that is one of the very easy subject. And there are very, very focused areas of the importance as far as the UPSC syllabus is concerned. Syllabus, they do list down many aspects. But what is focused by the UPSC while giving the examination? That is very important. Those sections are actually very, very small in nature. The areas of importance, if you notice, most of the times actually they ask the LVDTs and they ask about the current, so current transformers and the potential transformers, and then actually very little about the bridges and the galvanometer and moving iron and the moving coil and moving iron instruments, and actually the shunting and the series methodologies. Actually, that's what we are going to adapt to increase the standard of the or the sensitivity of that particular machine, or actually the range of the machine. Such kind of aspects are focused, and these focused areas actually very small in nature. But many people will get scared of this particular subject because the size of the book is very high. So this much size book is there. That is AK Sahani. AK Sahani book is actually this much size. But in that AK Sahani, what is needed is actually hardly 100 pages. Out of, I think so, 800 pages, maybe somewhere actually it will be there. But out of that, we hardly need only the 100 pages. But your expertise is exactly pinpoint those areas and segregate those 100 pages and stick to those 100 pages. This is very important. And this is very, very crucial in the case of the measurements because the size of the book and the syllabus is high. But the importance of this, if you notice, with 68 marks, actually, it is in the list of 4th position. So 4th position is actually the measurements and instrumentation. If you notice, this measurements and instrumentation, the power systems are actually both in the paper 2. That means, just see this. In this particular subject, if you notice, this is top. The first one, control systems in paper 2, it was topped. And then actually power system and power system protection, if you notice, these two together is for 120 marks. And this alone actually 85.5 marks. And then actually measurements and instrumentation, this is 68 marks. That means if you study these subjects, then see this 120 plus 85 plus 68. 120 plus 68 is, so this is 70 plus 20, so 190. So, and then actually 190 plus 273.5. So 273.5 marks actually alone you are able to get in this particular subject. That means you can, so if you are an electrical engineer, then actually you can your strategy can be this way. You can study control systems, you can study this power systems and power system protection, And you can study measurements and instrumentation. And for the rest of the subject, like microprocessor and microcomputers and digital communication, anyway, you are not. So you didn't study well. Hence, actually, what you can do is actually, you can check for only 10-point markers in this particular subject. 10-point markers in this particular subject, and rest of the subject actually, you can very well actually prepare, because this is actually almost you have studied in your graduation itself. And this is also, you can look for only the 10-point markers. The topics of importance is, this is the first one, and this is the second one, and this is the third one. So third one is digital communication. This is the third one, and this is the fourth one. So there is measurements and instrumentation is the first. So this is in the second paper, actually the weightage of the marks, actually it was given for certain subjects very, very high. And for the first paper, actually it was more or less equally distributed. Now actually we look at the other paper. See this. Now in this, the next one is, after this, energy conversion. So this is electrical machines is for 66 marks, and then the network theory is for the 58 marks. 66 marks for the electrical machines, 58 marks for the electrical networks, and then power electronics and electric drives. So this is for the 54 marks. Microprocessor and microcomputers also, it is going to be the 54 marks. And then the analog electronics is for the 52 marks. And then the electromagnetic theory. And this is one subject, like actually it demands more effort, more time, but the weightage is actually, it is compared to be less. And this is actually 48 marks. But actually, if you study carefully with a little bit of mathematical understanding, this subject also actually one of the very easy subject. So maybe actually I will be teaching this particular subject in an easier way, so that actually you will be able to easily understand each and every aspect of, at least actually you will get a feel that this is one of the easy subject. You will be liking that particular subject after my classes, definitely, right? So this is one particular subject. And then actually analog communication. So analog communication is an easy subject, right? So even for the electrical engineering people also, analog communication is very easy subject. Many of the people actually, they might have selected as an optional while studying their graduation. So that's why they will be able to do it very easily, analog communication. And then signals and systems and digital electronics. These are actually very, very minor topics, very, very easier topics actually. Signals and systems and digital electronics. Without having much of preparation, you will be able to answer most of the aspects. You can spend lesser time on these aspects. And the last one is the power system protection. Anyway, I have covered. So like this, actually, this is classified based on the importance of this particular subject. So this is order 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, you can put it. I have ordered this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So like this, actually, you can plan your preparation so that actually it will be a game changing. So in your preparation, this single slide, actually, it will be the game changer, I can say. So this information, if you know, if you plan accordingly, then you will be able to easily succeed in the electrical engineering as an optional subject, irrespective of whether you are from electrical background or electronics background. And in the next slide, actually, I have classified the subjects. So this is actually the electronics and communication engineering people. And this is actually, right? And this is actually electrical engineers. In the case of electrical engineers, if you notice, the analog communication and digital communication are the two important subjects actually which they have not studied. But in the case of electronics engineering, in the case of electronics engineering people, so what they have not studied, I think so it was not fully covered. There are two more subjects at the bottom. So power systems and power system protection and power electronics and the energy conversion. These are the four different subjects actually if you classify. So four different subjects actually which we have not studied as part of your engineering. But that is the power system protection is a single subject. So this is power system and protection. So this is a single subject, and energy conversion is another subject. So I can say only two subjects, not four subjects, because power systems and power system protection is a single subject, as I said, and energy conversion is a new topic altogether. And power electronics is equally tough for both electrical and electronics people. Actually, equally easier for both of these people. I feel it is easier, but some people are saying it is tougher. I don't know what was the reason, but it is purely electronics application for driving the motors. But you don't need to have any knowledge related to the motors at all. What you need to have is, if an SCR or a diode, if it is connected to an RL load or RLC load or RLE load. RLE means if there is a voltage source also present in the load, then how the current and voltage are varying. This is the subject of study. And that subject of study, actually, without having any knowledge of electrical engineering, also all the electronics people can study. And in fact, actually, that is very easy for the electronics people rather than the electrical people, I say. So that's why actually that is one of the easy subject. Don't worry about it. Only the power system and energy conversion you have to think multiple times. And that too, power system is very, very important subject that you have to keep it in mind. And this way, if you plan it, then actually it will be cakewalk for you. So I think so. This is how actually, so I have pointed out almost every aspect of this particular optional subject, from the selection to the success strategy. But more pinpointedly down the line, actually, I will do more and more videos on the aspect that if you take one particular subject, let us say, if you took only the networks, in the networks, what are the areas of importance, where to focus, and which is the perfect book to focus. And in that book, the important problems are actually important areas where to study. Such kind of information, actually, it is actually going at micro level. Such kind of information for each and every subject, actually, down the line, I'm going to do it. So for more and more videos, actually, you subscribe to my channel, and then actually maybe, so bell icon, actually, if you click it, then actually you will be getting the notification for each and every video I'm going to release. And that will be actually, it will be very, very useful for you, and it will be helping you a lot. And down the line, actually, you will be able to very easily succeed, right? So thank you. Yeah.